Hey, what's up, guys? This is CT back at you from Chain Poker. Let's go ahead and get into this one. We got a 1-3 coming up right now. I will be posting my next video on Monday from a 5-5 stream. Like the name of the page, Chain Poker. We're gonna be bringing it back to back to back, just like Chain Smoker, except for Chain Poker. So we will be bringing you content back to back, non-stop. Next video will be dropping on Monday. Go ahead and get this one out for you today. Let's go ahead and jump into it.
All right, so we have a 1-3 stream going on here at Little Kings and Queens. The very first hand in the under the gun +1, I look down at ace-5 offsuit, and I elect to raise it up to $12. And with that bet, it goes around and folds all the way back to the small blind. The small blind elects to make that call, and it folds the rest of the way. So we go heads up into a flop, and that flop comes out 5 queen ace, 3 spades, monotone board. With us flopping the top and bottom pair, even though it is a monotone board, we did bet pre-flop, so we elect to go ahead and continuation bet here. We bet about the size of the pot. We could have elected to go a little smaller, maybe 2/3 pot, but with hitting the top 2 pair, we just don't want to give him a free or a low cost to draw to a spade. He could possibly already have it, but if he doesn't, we're going to charge him for that extra spade. So we elect to go ahead and bet that $30. And with that bet, the small blind thinks about it for a little bit, and he shows me a queen and folds his hand. We go ahead and we scoop that pot. All right, and the next hand that we look at, I am back in the gun +1 position. I look down at Jack-10 offsuit. So with it being offsuit, I just elect to go ahead and make the call. It gets over to the hijack, and the hijack decides that $3 is not enough for him. He decides to bump it up to $15. It folds to the small blind, who elects to make the call. And then it folds back to me, and I elect to make the call. We go to a flop of 7-5-3 with 2 hearts, and the small blind elects to check. And with me completely missing the board, just having 2 overs, I can't do anything but check to the pre-flop aggressor, and he surprisingly just checks the low board. Surprised he didn't continue. Well, we get to a free turn card, which is exactly what we were looking for. It is the Jack of Club. And with the Jack of Club coming out, the small blind checks, and with the flop checking straight through, unless somebody was playing a overpair or aces, kings, something just really, really sneaky, or if they connected with this Jack 2, the only way I could see them being better than me. And with that, I still have to place a bet here. So I elect to go around half pot. Pot is around $48. I elect to go with $25, and the hijack folds, and the small blind elects to make the call for 25. So we go to a river card, which is a deuce. Doesn't change much unless you have ace-4 here. It brings in that straight. Other than that, that deuce doesn't change much on the board. But with him just continue to smooth call, not really able to place him on a hand, he checks the river, and with me having great showdown value with top pair, I elect to go ahead and check the river back, and we have the winning hand. We go ahead and scoop that pot also. And for the third hand we're looking at today, we're back under the gun +1, and this time we look down at pocket 7s. And with us being in such early position, we just elect to go ahead and make the call. We don't want to raise it up and have to face a re-raise, a 3-bet. So we just elect the call and try and set mine. And from there, it folds back to the small blind, who elects to make the call, and the big blind elects to make the call also. And we go to a flop of 3-4-5 rainbow. And with the rainbow flop, the small blind elects to check. The big blind also checks it to me. And with me having an overpair and a gut shot to a straight, I elect to make a pot size bet of $10. And with that bet, the small blind decides his hand isn't quite good enough to stay in this. He folds. The big blind decides to make the call. We go to a turn card, a jack of diamond. And with that coming, the big blind decides to check, and I decide to keep telling my story that I do have a strong hand on this board, and I make another pot size bet of $30. And with that pot size bet, the big blind decides that his hand isn't quite strong enough to stay along either. He folds, and I go ahead and take that pot in. All right, here. So for the fourth time in a row, in the under the gun +1 position, this is the fourth hand that we'll be looking at. I look down at Queen 10 of diamonds suited, and I elect to go ahead and raise it up to $17. The bet itself didn't accomplish much of what I thought that it would, which was thin the field out. I actually received 3 callers. The middle position, the cutoff, and the button all make the call. We're going to the flop of Jack, Deuce, King, Rainbow. And honestly, right now, I do believe, looking back under that, I made the wrong play. With me making the bet pre-flop and the board hitting out Jack and a King, I definitely should have made a continuation bet here. And then I flopped open-ended, which was great for me. I definitely should have made the continuation bet here. But we live and we learn. We'll do better next time. Yeah, looking back on it, I just think it was the wrong play that I made here, but I do decide to check, and it actually checks through. We go to the turn card, which pairs the board with a king, and with the king pairing up, I do decide to go ahead and just check it. And the middle position actually decides to take the lead here and bet out $40. He gets a fold from the cutoff, but the button decides that he has a strong enough hand that he's going to come along. So he makes the call for 40, and with me still being open-ended, I decide to make the call for 40. Here again, I'm not sure if this is the correct play. I do believe me betting on the flop, if I would have bet on the flop, then that would have set up a better play for me to actually continue betting here or to make a raise. And I do believe that that could have taken me down the pot right here instead of trying to make this straight. But I do just make the call, and we go to a river card, and that river card is not what we were looking for at all. We get the 4. And with that coming out, the I missed completely. I could have took a stab at it again, but like I said, I think I played this hand all wrong in order to try and set up a stab on the river. I think that play would have just been awkward, and I believe I would have received some calls just because it wouldn't have made any sense of what I was betting. But I go ahead and check, and it checks around, and I lose. Didn't expect to win that one with just having queen high, but we lose that one. All right, so the next hand that we're looking at here, I'm in the under the gun position, and I look down at Queen 10 suited of hearts. And so with looking down at this hand in such an early position, I do elect to make quite a sizable raise, almost 6x pot to $17. But let me explain. The reason I decided to do that is because I understand my position on this table. I am going to be out of position to majority of the players on this table. And with this being such an aggressive table, I do know that a smaller bet of $10, $11, I would get a couple more callers to come along with me. So trying to thin the field as much as I can from the under the gun position is why I go ahead and elect to put in 17. With that being said, I get folds all the way back around to the small blind, and the small blind and the big blind elect to make a call. We go to a flop of King 6-7 Rainbow. And with that flop, It checks around to me and I elect to check it. Doesn't look like anybody got much of that board, so we go ahead and go to a turn card, and the turn card is the Ace of Hearts, which brings in my backdoor flush to the hearts, and it goes ahead and checks around to me. So after it checks around to me, I do feel like that I can go ahead and take a stab at this pot, bringing in that I do have queen high flush draw and also a gut shot straight. So I elect to go ahead and bet 30, and the small blind elects to make a call. The big blind snap folds. So we go to a river card. The river card then pairs the board with an ace. So the flush does not come in. The ace pairs the board on the river, and the small blind elects to go ahead and check to me. Seeing that I did miss my flush, and with the ace pairing the board, I do feel like that is not the greatest card for me to bluff at, because if he does have a king with the ace pairing the board, he might elect to go ahead and make a call if I try to bluff him off of this, and he does have a king. So I just elect to go ahead and check it back, and we find out that our queen high is good to go. Okay, so the next hand that we're going to look at, I'm sitting in the big blind, and I look down at 9-6 offsuit, and it folds around to the middle position. The middle position decides that no, $3 is not enough for him, so he go ahead and he bumps it up to 12 big ones. So with that, it folds to the button. The button elects to go ahead and make the call. The small blind makes the call, and not having the greatest hand, but sitting in the big blind, knowing that I am ending action for another $9, I had to come along and see a flop, so I go ahead and elect to make the call. We go to a flop of Jack 9-4 rainbow. So the small blind go ahead and elect to check it to me, and with me hitting the middle pair, nothing else I can do but go ahead and check to the pre-flop aggressor. So I go ahead and check it to the middle position, and actually it goes ahead and checks through. So we go to a turn card, which is the 6 of club. Exactly the card we was looking for. Gave us that 2 pair, that sweet 2 pair. Oh yeah. So the small blind goes ahead and elects to check it to me, and with it checking back all the way through on the flop, I couldn't allow it to check through again. So I do go ahead and size up to a little over half pot to $28. And with that bet, no one else decides that their hand is quite good enough to come along. So it folds around, and we go ahead and we scoop that one. So the next hand that we're looking at here, I am in the under the gun position, and I look down at 9-8 offsuit, and I elect to make the call for $3. And immediately the under the gun +1 position decides that $3 is not enough, and he decides that he wants to bump it up to 15. So once he bumps it up to $15, the middle position folds, the hijack makes the call, the cutoff folds, and the button, small blind, big blind all make the call. Once it's back to me at 8-9 offsuit, knowing that I'm ending the action once again, and knowing that the under the gun +1 position is quite an aggressive player sometimes, I elect to go ahead and make the call for $12 more for a total of 15, and we go to a flop. 9-8 queen with 2 clubs, and yes, we do flop the bottom 2 pair, but the board is a very dangerous board with lots of draws out there, flush draws, straight draws. The 10 jack has already gotten there on the straight, so it's a very dangerous board. It checks to me, and I do elect to go ahead and bet out about $27 into a $90 pot. Relatively, looking back, that was relatively a bad, not bad, but very low bet. But I think in the moment, I was thinking more of, if someone with so many people being in the pot, someone could have possibly already flopped the straight or even the nut flush draw, and they weren't going anywhere with the nut flush draw, or if they had the straight, they were going to come over top and punish me. And no sooner than finishing that thought, the under the gun +1 position comes over top and punishes me. He raises it to $70 immediately, and the middle position decides to make the call, and it folds back to me. With having the bottom two pair, and like I said earlier, knowing that the under the gun +1 position player is quite an aggressive player at times, and even the middle position player can be aggressive at times. With the bottom two pair in this specific spot with these specific players, I was not going anywhere. And I did feel like with him 3-betting the under the gun +1 position, 3-betting pre-flop, it would be hard for him to do that with 10 jack unless it was 10 jack suited, especially in such an early position with so many people behind. Now, the middle position, 10 jack, is well within his range of making that call. So this was a risky play, but I did feel like anybody that didn't have 10 jack at this moment, I was going to apply max pressure. So once it get back to me, I think about it for a little bit, and then I decide, hey, we're going all in. Take it all or nothing. So I shove in for the remainder of my stack, which is $250 remaining, all in, and we're going to see how this goes. The under the gun +1 player folds, and the middle position decides that he's going to make the call. So we go to a run out of turn card, ace of diamond, river card, 6 of diamonds. So of course the backdoor diamonds come in, the straight for the 7-5 and the 7-10 come in. Not really worried about those so much. Also any two pair like ace, ace, queen, ace 9, anything like that also gets there, but we go ahead and we flip it over and find out our two pair is good, and we get a full double up and some. So we had a few decent hands during this stream, but our next stream that we will be posting up will be a 5-5 action. A lot more action, a lot bigger game. And like I said, typically 5-5s and the 1-3s don't play like 5-5s or 1-3s, and this 5-5 did not at all. So just stay tuned, hit that subscribe button, and stick on this journey with me. Thank you.